Sorry I'm late, man.
No worries, dude.
Very important meeting with James Wan, Steven Spielberg, Stephen King, man. They're all fighting over copyright for us, man. We're going places, bro.
Doing things.
Doing things.
Glad you go to these meetings and not me.
So, yeah, anyways. You ready?
I live ready.
Okay.
Let's do this.
What's up, guys?
Taps.
Welcome back to Nightmare Talks. He's Chase.
He's Aaron.
And today, we don't have a movie per se that we're going to spotlight.
Hence.
Please sponsor us, any of you that are out there that are listening. James Wan.
Sorry, not sorry.
King. No, so today we're going to, me and Chase have touched on this beginning of, in one of our first episodes. We're going to talk about Sasquatch today, guys. Boom! We're going to take a little bit of a detour from movies, and we're going to talk a lot about Survivor Man.
Yes.
So I guess I'll just start with Survivor Man. Man, I love Survivor Man.
Good dude.
I feel like if there's one person in the world that should be taken serious when it comes to anything with the outdoors or anything pertaining to the outdoors, it should be Survivor Man, because legitimately this guy is out there by himself. Very rarely even takes anybody with him. I think he's doing things with his son now, which is cool. Yeah. But man, I really liked the knowing that he was out there by himself, you know, in the middle of nowhere, and he was always in dangerous situations.
But I think that's because of that. Like he can do that now because of what he's done in the past and the reputation he has and his confidence.
Like he knows that
a lot. Yeah.
He's comfortable out there. And so when somebody like Survivor Man, Les Stroud, goes out and legitimately says, "I'm going to find out if this is true or not," and talking about Sasquatch, you got to take that serious, dude.
I think you have to, because he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to waste his time on something that he can kind of give the whole eyeball, like, do I think that's a possibility? No? Okay, I'm going to move on. To me, even from the get-go, just hearing that, you know, Survivor Man looked into this speaks volumes, in my opinion, because, like, whether you think it is or isn't real, not here to really debate that, but it's more just, obviously he found it important enough to spend money on in production to go and look for himself. Right. So,
and to me, that's just like, I would rather watch 10 minutes of footage with Survivor Man taking it seriously than hours and hours of just ridiculous footage of somebody like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah.
I just heard some leaves rustling in the distance.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I see a shadow behind that tree, you know, 50 yards away in the middle of the night. It could be anything, dude. And I think that's why people are so quick to just disregard Sasquatch as being real, because if you got all the morons out there who are pretending like, and don't even get me started on the people that actually put on gorilla suits and go out and freaking hoax these videos. Like, these people deserve to get their asses kicked, because it's not meant to be a joke, man. This is something that me and Chase are very passionate about, and because of the fact that I've been outdoors a lot. I've done a 6-day hike in the Grand Canyon from the rim to the river. I've done, you know, hikes in the middle of nowhere. I've gone on camping trips, you know, and it's creepy as hell.
It is.
And I've been in the woods in Washington State. Me and my brother tried to do a hike there right outside Seattle one time. It was 11 o'clock in the afternoon. We get about half a mile into the forest, and it is so pitch black in there. We had to break out our flashlights. It was so dense that, you know, anything could be hiding in there. Something could have been 10 feet away from us, and we probably wouldn't have seen it, simply because it was just so dense and so dark. And once again, who are we to say that these things cannot exist? And when you have reports of law enforcement and people who you have people who are ordained ministers, and you have people who have absolutely no incentive to lie and say that they saw something. Native Americans, what do they have to gain from that? They've known about Sasquatches. I mean, that's where they got the name from, was from Native heritage. So it's really unfortunate that people don't take it more seriously. And I think that's what I liked about Survivor Man is his very first episode. He comes straight out of the box and he's like, "Look, I'm a skeptic. I've been out in these woods. I've been in all these, these isolated areas, and I've never seen anything, but I've experienced things." And he wants to get down to the truth, and he legitimately wants to find out, mainly for himself, that these things do exist or they do not exist.
Yep.
And so for those of you who have not seen Survivor Man, it's Survivor Man season 6, and it's actually titled Survivor Man Bigfoot.
Yep.
I think there's like 7 or 8 episodes.
I forget total, but yeah.
There's quite a few. He does. For those of you that are familiar with Bigfoot research and stuff, Todd Standing is the man who brought out Discovering Bigfoot with some amazing footage. Hopefully it's real. I'd love to believe that it's real.
I hope it's real too. It's it's very clear. It is
super clear.
It's probably one of the things that gets
and I think that's why it's so controversial.
I would hope it's real because it would be sad to find out that it wasn't.
And the amount of work and effort that he would have had to put into that to make that. So, I mean.
Anyway, so let's get back to Survivor Man. Let's get back to this whole, what we're going to talk about with this. So, I liked this whole season for season 6. I was intrigued from the get-go. I like people that come at it from I want facts. I don't want what I think, what somebody else thinks to be what, what makes up my mindset of this is what I believe. He, from the get-go, like Aaron was saying, he says, I'm not saying it exists, but I'm not saying it doesn't. Perfect way to start it, because honestly, I think it really was him going looking for answers. I think this was his way of, let me get out there, let me get out to where it's been seen, let me look more into this, let me try to trigger it and get this thing, get Bigfoot to interact. And I think at the end of the day, that's all you really can do. Like if you're trying to look for factual evidence, and to try to get Bigfoot to interact with you, I feel like is not the easiest thing to do. I feel like Bigfoot is something, I don't even want to call it a creature, but I mean, I think it is a species of something that is way more intelligent than we give it credit for. I think we do not fully understand how they operate.
And when you watch Survivor Man Bigfoot, that's exactly how he describes it. Is he goes from, at first thinking that this is just a giant hairy humanoid to a phenomenon.
Yep.
And once again, there's going to be people out there that are just like, I don't believe in Bigfoot because I don't believe that there can be a giant hairy man. Okay, we don't know if it's a man. We don't know. There's so much more to it, dude. That's like to single it out as a giant hairy man doesn't do it justice. Like there's UFO encounters, a lot of UFO encounters at the same time in the same area as Sasquatch encounters.
100%.
What does that mean? Who freaking knows? But who am I to say that it's not real? Who am I to say that it's a coincidence?
And how would you investigate that one? That part would be hard.
Right. So when you got somebody like Survivor Man who's like, I'm going to go out there by myself and I'm going to go to these places that people are saying that they see these things, and I'm going to see what I can experience myself. And you see the transformation that takes place from episode 1 to the final episode,
his mindset
to his interview
thought.
on Joe Rogan, when Joe Rogan is kind of making fun of him in the sense that, come on, Les, like, and Les Stroud, once again, I love the dude. He shut it down real quick. He's like, look, you're not gonna experience anything like that sitting in this studio. You got to be out there. And unless you're willing to get out there in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, in areas that are so isolated and so dense, I just feel like that is ignorance to say that it does not exist when you're not willing to get out there
and I think he said it perfectly. It's on the first episode. He says it perfectly. So he brings up for the people that are like, oh, it doesn't exist. He was like, well, I've never found a bear skeleton in the woods. or any, because everybody uses the, we've never found one dead, we've never found a skeleton of a Sasquatch, and he was like, I've been out in the woods numerous times, isolated areas, all this stuff, and not once has he came across a bear carcass. Right. He was like, given I know they exist, but you can't use the argument just because you've never found the carcass of something that it doesn't exist.
Right.
And to me, that was like, wow, that's a good point. Yeah. And that's not even him saying like he believes, he's just saying,
stating facts.
It's a hard thing to say just because this hasn't happened or because you haven't seen it. To say it doesn't exist, like that's kind of closed-minded in a sense. Like, do you really know?
Yeah.
Like Aaron was saying, if you're not out there looking for it, actively looking for it, your argument to me is kind of weak at best.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that really frustrates me, and for those of you that know me and people that have conversations with me about it, I do get kind of frustrated in that, because I don't understand how you can be so quick to say something like that just cannot exist. One thing that was told to me by somebody, and this isn't meant to offend anybody, but one of the things that was sent to me or was told to me, and it made a lot of sense to me, is everybody believes in God.
Yep.
But nobody has seen God. Mm-hmm. People have experienced things, they've witnessed things, mm-hmm. they've felt things that they relate to God and a godly experience and this and that. But at the end of the day, nobody has seen God, okay? People say, oh, he appeared to me in a bowl of soup or on this piece of toast or in the clouds. Okay, but you know what I mean? Like, the fact that everybody is willing to believe in God, and I believe in God, I'm not contradicting any of that, but what my point is people are so willing to believe in God because of the Bible, but yet they refuse to even consider that there could be a thing as Sasquatch.
Yep.
When there are actual footage and photographs and legit evidence that these things are being seen and are being experienced.
The footprints are the hardest thing. So like, if you knew what goes into making these footprints and how sensitive the material is that you use to create that footprint that you've seen several times on documentaries and things like that, like it's hard to create that being like man-made. It's hard to create that and shape it to where you make it look like a Bigfoot. Like,
Survivor Man does that.
He does. Yeah,
he spends like $10,000 to go to Hollywood to purchase these footprints or these feet that he can walk around in. And number one, to be able to get that kind of indention that they're getting, that these people are getting, it's heavy.
Yeah.
And it's awkward. Mm-hmm. But then, even if you get that down to, okay, I can get this indention of 2 inches into the mud or into the dirt. Now you got to get the stride. Yeah. Guess what? That stride is about, in average, 6 feet. So now you have to get this. You have to take these heavy ass feet that you have strapped to your feet, and you have to make a stride of 6 inches to make the next footprint. Okay, he tries it, and guess what? It doesn't go well at all.
Yeah.
And he spent over $10,000 on this stuff to try to fake footprints. So I'm sorry if Cletus in the middle of freaking nowhere thinks it's funny. Him and his buddies are like, hey, this weekend, let's go out and make some footprints of Bigfoot and let's tell people that we found Bigfoot. They don't have $10,000 to go to Hollywood and buy these foot. So my thing is once again, where is the incentive? What are you going to benefit from going out there? Now, it's different to put on a gorilla suit and run around and have your friends filming you hiding behind trees and running across the field.
And it could be just simple that. It's entertainment value.
But once again, to your point with the footprints, where is the incentive to go out and fake
Not
footprints?
to fake that. There's a lot of evidence.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've never seen one, but I am not one of those that can say it does not exist. I just, based on things I've watched, seen, research, and just reading and listening to stories, people that have seen it, you can't tell me it doesn't. Like, it doesn't matter. It like, literally, you can't prove to me it doesn't.
Bro, you're from Arkansas. The folk monster it's and even the skunk ape in parts of Arkansas, Louisiana.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the thing too, is these things aren't just being seen in certain areas. it's worldwide.
Yep.
You have the Yowie in Australia. You have the Orang Pendek in Thailand or Indonesia or one of those countries. You have the abominable snowman and the Yeti there in the Soviet Union. You know what I mean? And it's just like these things. I get it. Back in the 70s and 80s, you used to get paid to come forth, you know, and come forth and be like, hey, I was abducted and raped by a Sasquatch, and the National Enquirer would be like, oh, you know, we'll give you $1,000 for your story, and people would do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's the same thing with Jerry Springer. Yeah, I go back to Jerry Springer because I always think when I watch that show how ridiculous it is. Like, why would anybody volunteer to go on the show and make a fool of themselves like they do? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. Those people aren't laughing with you; they're laughing at you.
Yeah, your entertainment value.
So if you're a highway patrol, okay, and you're in Oregon, and you legitimately are driving one night and you see a giant hairy figure cross in front of your car in the middle of the night, where is your incentive to go back to the station and to tell your coworkers and your friends, dude, I saw this? Because number one, most of them are going to probably laugh at you. Anybody that's in law enforcement knows that it's kind of like the military and just like any sports team. If you say something silly, they're going to give you a hard time.
Yeah, you're gonna get some.
So why would you want to do that, first of all? And that's why a lot of people keep it to themselves for years and years and years, is because they're afraid of the ridicule. But when they do come forth, I always think to myself, what does this person have to benefit from coming forth with this story? And that is where people should be taking it serious.
Dude, it's the same thing with the alien. Not to get off topic. It's the same thing with the UFO and this whole conversation with that. Like, that's coming to the front because of people that spoke up. And these are military pilots. These are like war-fighting individuals, like
high-ranking officers.
They have no reason to make up seeing these things. Like, it's obviously recorded, like you can see it. I don't know. I agree with you. I don't, as a police officer, if literally you had something happen to you like that where it scares you or you can't explain it to the point like literally you have to bring it up to somebody else, but then you get ridiculed for even talking about it. It's like, look, I know what I saw.
And
like,
I could care less if you believe me or not. Yeah, that's the thing, is these people will be straight up say that. I could care less if you guys believe me or not. This is what I saw. And the one that you got to take even more serious is people who hunt. I'm sure you have family members there in Arkansas. I know people in Texas that are avid hunters. Like, that's all they do. And they spend their whole life in the woods hunting, and then they witness something that terrifies them so much to where they will never go back there again, and they don't even want to hunt anymore. That is what speaks for itself, in my opinion. Like, you're taking somebody who's been in the woods their whole life, and you know, in a sense, they're not scared of anything because why? You know, you're not going to go out in the middle of the woods by yourself if you're scared of the dark or you're scared of coyotes or whatever. Like, you're just not going to do that. That's like a fisherman being scared of the water. You're not going to go fishing if you're scared of the water, probably. No. So for somebody to say, look, man, I saw this thing, this giant hairy thing, and it terrified me, and I don't want to go in those woods anymore, and I don't even want to hunt anymore. Like,
yeah, it's weird, man.
Why would somebody do that all of a sudden unless they experience something?
And there's multiple accounts of this. Like,
hundreds.
The internet is a great thing in the sense that you can find these stories where they were outdoorsy people until, no kidding, it took one incident where, you know, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, you know, went out of the pages of storybooks and hopped into reality just like that.
And that's what happened to Survivor Man, is he went into it thinking, I think he probably was like, okay, I'll do one season on Bigfoot and I'll try to debunk it or I'll try to prove it.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of that season, he was like, well, shit, I didn't get the results that I was hoping for.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I have to continue, because if you look, there's new videos. He did those episodes years ago.
Yep.
And now he's getting back to it.
Yeah.
Because how do you just disregard that after season 6 and then be like, okay, I'm gonna go to India and I'm gonna walk around in the deserts in Egypt and do an episode of Survivor Man in Egypt, because in the back of your mind, all you can really think about is the things that you experienced trying to prove the existence of Bigfoot.
Right.
And that's exactly what Les Strauss is doing, is trees being, like, full-grown trees being knocked over.
That makes no sense. Healthy trees, too.
Healthy trees.
Let's not get it twisted. It's not just it's not your dead trees. It's not the ones that, last limb type, but you're talking healthy, root deep in the ground, like, prospering tree that somehow all of a sudden just knocked over.
Yeah,
and there's no trees around it doing the same thing.
Like, and you happen to be there at that exact moment.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing is. Yeah. Once in your life, and even Spider-Man said that, it's like, once in my life I encountered it. Okay, coincidence.
Yep.
But when it's happened multiple times, and then you talk to people who are like, once again, Todd Standing is, I think he's onto something. I'm not going to say everything that he's coming forth with is 100% accurate, and I'm not going to say it's not, because once again, who am I to say that?
Yep.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
I hope for the sake of Sasquatch and people taking it seriously that everything that Todd Standing is bringing to the table is legit and it's 100% authentic. I hope.
Yeah.
Because if not, then you're part of the problem.
Literally, it's part of the problem because, and this is why you have people that are like, oh, it doesn't exist. That would be really unfortunate because of the following. I know that, whether you follow Todd Standing from I make fun of it type standpoint, or you follow it because you're like, damn, like the shots he got and like the evidence he found and this, that, and the other, like, wow.
Well, yeah.
Because for me, when I first watched that, it was a wow factor. I was the side of wow. Given, like, I'm a realistic person, I think I questioned it like everybody else does because nothing's been fully proven, nothing's been really brought to the table as far as like a legit Sasquatch being, shown. Or who's to say what's real and fake, and that's what makes it unfortunate.
He's got the footage though, man.
And the pictures are clear. Accurate, the footage it's. Okay, that's what I'm saying. But if it's fake, it's gonna hurt the community of as far as people that care and are believers, whether you've seen or haven't seen. I mean, there's tons of people out there that, myself included, that I've never seen it, but I do believe it's out there. Yes,
I do too, 100%. I've never seen it either, but at the same time, because of the fact that I've been to areas that have activity and witnessed just how isolated and just how dense it is, like, who am I?
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
I could easily get lost in there. Who am I to say that there's a whole, there could be a whole community of them.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so let's rewind. For Todd Standing, okay, number one, if you're interested even remotely in Sasquatch, and once again, it is a rabbit hole. I'm going to use that term again because it absolutely is. You want to watch Discovering Bigfoot. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on, I think it's on Tubi.
It's on Amazon Prime. I don't know if
you can find it lots of places. It's a very, very popular documentary. Yeah. It's called Discovering Bigfoot. So if you really want to go down this road and possibly become like me and Chase to where we are, I'm not going to say obsessed with it, but I am super infatuated with the whole phenomenon of
absolutely. It's one of those things where it's still a mystery in a way, right? Because...
And guys, there's a $2 million reward. There's literally a guy who is willing to pay you $2 million to capture a Sasquatch alive. So...
Alive. Hold on, I keep saying it because, like, think about what you're saying. You have to, and with all the numbers that have been pushed out of what this thing is capable of.
Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Good luck to you.
I don't know how you're going to capture a freaking Sasquatch alive, but to the person that does, guess what? $2 million, buddy.
The guy that proved
the guy that's proving or that's trying to pay the $2 million, it's not a joke. He's not like, I'll give $2 million to whoever can bring me a live Sasquatch. It's not a joke to him. Like he's
serious. Yeah.
He's like us to where he's like, dude, these things probably do exist, and I haven't seen one, and nobody has, And
I have $2 million, and I'm willing to pay anybody that can bring it to the table.
I'm willing. It's probably going to go up.
Yeah,
as time goes on, because it started at $1 million and then it went up to $2 million. This thing could get up to $10 million, and So start with that, guys. Honestly, if you want to go down this road and you want to get into the whole phenomenon of Sasquatch, start with discovering Bigfoot. Then go to Survivor Man Season 6 Bigfoot.
Yep.
Watch that. And if you're sitting there at the end of Survivor Man Season 6 and you're just like, this is ridiculous, I don't believe in it, it's nonsense. Well,
here's
I don't know how you'd be able to do that after that, but...
Disclaimer for both of those. So, Todd Standing's Discovering Bigfoot. Did I like it? Absolutely. But I also recognize that Todd Standing is a very, we'll say, extremist
Passionate.
when it comes to the sense of that you're not going to tell this guy Bigfoot doesn't exist.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned in his mind, and like me and Aaron were saying, hopefully it's not a lie, it's not a hoax. Hopefully he's legit and everything is legit with what he's put out. Because you can't convince him there's not a Bigfoot, being the fact that he claims everything he captured on camera and photos are real.
Yeah.
Not saying that's not, but it's almost too good to be true. Which makes me nervous, but at the same sense, I hope everything he has is legit. I hope it does.
Well,
now,
yeah, go ahead.
So, my bad. No, you're good. Survivor Man Season 6, though, takes a more realistic, let me sit on the fence and decide
Bias.
what side of this I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Because Survivor Man does not go into this saying, it exists, I'm going to find it, or I believe in it. No, he sits and says, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possible. So, just know that going into it, give it a watch. It's still worth watching even if you 100% don't believe in Bigfoot. It's interesting and it brings up a lot of good points because I still think Todd Standing brings up a lot of key evidence as far as how they interact. And I think the way they operate. And if it's, like I said, if it's real, it seems valid, and it's something that I didn't think about until I watched that.
I will go on record. I'm not afraid to go on record. I will go on record right now and give Todd Standing the benefit of the doubt that the things that he has experienced and the things that he has recorded are authentic.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is because when you watch Discovering Bigfoot, he tells you about how he used to be military, and his specialty was he was a sniper. And snipers, their job is to blend in with the environment and stay hidden, and at the same time be able to monitor and watch things.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, that's how he gets this footage, is literally he buries himself in the snow, or he'll be in a ghillie suit for days on end in a stationary location, monitoring this group of Sasquatch. It's not just one. And that's, to me, it's just if somebody would be capable of staying hidden, because if Sasquatch are as intelligent as we all believe that they are, because let's just be honest, if you're able to stay hidden for this long, you can't just be some dumb raccoon who just wanders in and starts rummaging through the trash cans.
It's not by accident.
These things are
for
intelligent.
Sure. It's not by accident that they stay out of the open and
Right.
they stay overall, I won't say unseen because there's things out there, but for the most part unseen. They're not a typical thing oh, hey, Sasquatch just crossed the road. It's not a common occurrence for sure. That's definitely one of those things it only happens every now and then.
Yep. And so like I said, I will give him the benefit of the doubt in the sense that he is absolutely 100% qualified and capable of being able to stay hidden
and providing that.
So compared to somebody who's just a weekend warrior and just goes out on weekends looking for Bigfoot that says, oh, I encountered a community of Sasquatch, compared to them, 100% Todd Standing would be definitely more qualified, and I would believe him 100% more. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt. And even to the next level, Survivor Man, if there's anybody out there that is capable and is... If I had to put my money on somebody to prove the existence of Sasquatch, 100% Survivor Man, dude, 100%. So Les Stroud would definitely be, I would put my money on him all day, every day, because I think the way he's approaching it very professionally and not going into it expecting
Yeah.
to see. And that's the thing is I don't believe that you have to actually go. I don't believe you have to actually go out and look for Sasquatch. I think you have to put yourself into positions in areas where there has been activity, and Sasquatch finds you. You don't find it.
Yeah.
And if it wants to be seen, it will be seen. If it doesn't, it's not going to be seen.
I think that's where. So, agreed. I think, and this is where I go back and forth with Todd Standing. As like I said, I hope it's real. But in the same sense, I think literally he is the way he is. Hopefully he is the way he is because of the fact he has seen it. He has encountered these things, and everything he brings to the table is 100% spot on. And in that sense, if that's the case, then he needs to do it again. In my opinion, he needs to do it again, but he needs to bring a reputable person with him that has those same encounters with him. Because the only way he's going to be able to really provide that level of like, okay, this is facts, is having a reputable source, i.e. Survivor Man, along on this trip, or having somebody that's with him that can literally, whether you have a film rolling where you take photos and all those things, like, I think that's the evidence that would have to be provided.
And that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I think the problem that people are having with Todd Standing, and once again, people who aren't really familiar with it, they're not going to understand what we're talking about, but I think the reason that he gets a lot of heat from the Bigfoot community is because of his passion.
Yeah, he's very passionate.
He's so quick to say that was a Sasquatch.
Yep.
If a rock is being thrown, that's a Sasquatch. Or he hears a whoop, Survivor Man's like, okay, that was an owl. He was quick to be like, was an owl. But Todd Standing is so quick to be like, that was a Sasquatch. And even Survivor Man said, you have to be very careful to not just
throw that.
Be so quick.
Yeah.
And I think, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that what Todd Standing is presenting is not authentic.
But he just may be that passionate.
It just means,
channel that.
It's like us, we're very passionate about certain things. And
I think we sit more in the realm of being more Survivor Man oriented, where we're like, given we believe it exists.
Right.
Survivor Man's more on the fence of like, I'm not saying it does, but I'm not telling you it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and I think we're somewhere in between. So you got Todd Standing, you got Survivor Man. We live somewhere right here. Yeah. Because I think I fully believe it exists.
Me too.
I think there's a lot of solid evidence out there. I think hearing people's stories and how they talk about it, you don't make up that kind of thing that scares you so bad. And there's been interviews where people are scared to their core. Mm-hmm. Like Aaron was saying earlier, like they don't go hunting anymore. They don't stay out at dark. Like there's just things they don't do anymore because of these experiences. And people will tell you that it will change your life completely. Yeah. It'll change the way you interact with the outdoors. I've heard those stories myself, and I'm just like, I cannot imagine something because I enjoy the outdoors. So something that drastic and that scary to where it didn't threaten you, but yet just by seeing it scared you to your core. That's.
No,
I would hate that. I would hate that completely to be that person that's like.
It's kind of like somebody who gets in a really bad car accident. They're going to be a little bit. They're going to be traumatized, and the next time they get in a car and hop on a freeway during rush hour, they're probably going to be a little bit uneasy or very uneasy.
Yep.
And it's essentially the same thing with these people that are experiencing these Sasquatches. And once again, it's not because they were threatened. It's because of the fact that everything that you think you know about the wilderness and being out in the wild and this and that, and your comfort zone, it takes you out of that. And immediately you realize that you're very vulnerable. And you're not necessarily the most dominant species.
And you're not the top of the food chain, potentially. Like, you have something that, never heard of a Sasquatch that eats humans. But in that same right, like, if Sasquatch wanted to take you out, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna win that fight.
Yeah. And like I said, that makes people very uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure.
Especially
As it should. I think
people that are always out in the wild.
It would scare me. I'm not gonna lie. To encounter something like that, I'm not saying. I would hope. I guess I would hope it wouldn't take me out of the woods because I enjoy the outdoors very much so. But to have something like that happen where it alters my enjoyment for the outdoors, that would be very unfortunate.
Yeah, your perception would change.
Yep.
And I think that when if you're familiar with Survivor Man, in all his other seasons not related to Bigfoot, you hardly ever really see him uneasy.
Yeah.
He's very cautious. He's very smart. This is a guy that knows pretty much everything there is to know about surviving in the wild. And then you see some of his reactions in season 6. You can tell he's completely uncomfortable, and he's scared. He's scared, and there's a couple times where he says, "I'm really nervous. I feel very vulnerable, and I'm doing something that I'm really not comfortable doing."
Or I know there were times where he couldn't explain certain things for sure.
The tree breaks.
Yeah,
man,
just,
come on.
just a lot of the things that he found while he was on this. Yep, definitely.
And for those of the people that believe in the Bible, well, I got something for you guys too. Guess what? In Genesis chapter 6, they actually talk about giants. So I guess I'm just kind of looking at my notes if you guys are wondering, but I guess the angels came down from heaven and they mated with human women, and their offspring were giants that they were called, and I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Nephram, Nefram. Look it up. Read chapter 6 for those of the people who are like, well, if it's not in the Bible, I don't believe it. It's in the Bible. Now, I'm not saying that Sasquatches are those, but it clearly says in the Bible that they are giants. Doesn't say they're covered in hair. Doesn't say they're anything like that. But could it be the offspring of those particular species? Yep. Possibly. Could it be gigantimus or whatever they call them?
I don't even know, man. Get me on that one.
Yeah, I know it's gigantus. And I'm kind of getting my words turned around. But like I said, look it up. Look it up.
Yeah.
I've always encouraged that. Don't go by what we're saying. Do your own research on it. If it's something that you're interested by, watching Discovering Bigfoot and Survivor Man season 6, yeah, it's going to take you a little time, but I'm sure you watch more ridiculous stuff than that. I'm sure people get on YouTube like I do, and they just kind of wander off, and they're all over the place watching, cats running on treadmills, and you know what I mean.
Say I'm guilty of that one.
I don't think I've ever watched cats. But what I'm saying is,
no, I got you.
If you're interested in it, guys, honestly, it's not a joke. And if you're going to look at it as a joke, well, then,
or just dive into it yourself. Like, look into it for yourself. Don't necessarily knock it before you've even. Because if you've done no research and you're knocking it, like I said earlier, like, your argument to me is invalid because you've done nothing to give it credit or not, whether or not you think it's real. You've just said, no, that's not real. Yeah. And that's all you've done. So
it's unfortunate, but it's, what's 2 hours? 2 hours of your time to watch Discovering Bigfoot. And then at the end of that, if you're sitting there and you're still trying to figure it out and you're wondering, well, then you might be a little more interested in it than you thought. And so then go ahead and watch Survivor Man season 6 and then see where that goes from there. That's how it started for us, I'm sure. Your phone's blowing up.
Blowing up, dude, and I already turned the ringer off.
So anyways, this is probably going to be a 2-part series because we haven't even touched on Missing 411.
Oh, no. There's a lot more to do. There's Expedition Bigfoot. Yeah. There is definitely more to come of this. This is not the end of this.
Yeah, so we will go ahead and, we'll let you guys know that this is going to be to be continued just because there's so much more that we have to cover.
There's a lot. And there's other points of views from other people that definitely I want to bring to the table and talk about. And there's other stories, even on YouTube, that I definitely want to dive into and talk about. Yeah. Because this could go on for days.
It'll definitely have to be continued. Yeah. But I do believe that there are people out there who are watching who are interested in this. Yep. And I know for a fact that a couple of my friends that watch these videos are definitely interested in this, and they want to be involved in, if we ever do anything, any kind of like in-person interaction, I'm sure they would like to be a part of that.
Yep.
And because that's what we're going to do. eventually we're going to get out there and we're going to start, putting ourselves in situations where, we could possibly experience something. And if we don't, well, guess what? It's not going to change my perception on it.
Yep.
Because once again, if these things were that easy to find, well, guess what? Everybody would be finding them, and would have $2 million possibly.
I'm not trying to catch it. I will see it and walk away happily. Yeah. Because it's not worth my life, I don't think. Because most likely I'm going to die trying to get it to this person for $2 million. Just saying.
Maybe throw it $1 million and be like, well, we'll split it. Just come with me for a little while. Let me take you to this guy that's going to pay us $2 million, and then I'll let you go afterwards.
No.
Probably won't happen.
No.
That's an approach I would probably take and probably get killed.
Probably. Yeah,
but anyways, so we're going to go ahead and, like I said, this will be a to be continued series.
Yes.
We will definitely touch on this more.
Yep.
Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts. Check out Discovering Bigfoot. Check out Survivor Man Season 6 Bigfoot. And there's tons of other videos on the line. Articles. It is a rabbit hole, guys. It will suck you down in there, and you will just, the possibilities are endless. Laugh about it if you want. There's people that are always just going to be like, these guys are ridiculous, and I don't believe in Sasquatch, and they're silly for even talking about it. Well, we don't really care, because it's something that that I'm interested in. It's always intrigued me since I was a young kid. Same thing with Chase. And once again, if you're not out there, who are you?
Really valid.
Who are you to say?
Really valid.
So, anyway, guys, I'm Aaron.
I'm Chase.
And we will see you guys again soon. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Boom.
Talk to you guys later.